Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and welcome to another video in my series on spell timing, where I explain different techniques that you can use to time your magical workings. This is actually the second video in that series, so if you haven't watched the first one, then definitely do that, of course, after this video. The first one was about the moon phases and how you can use those. But this time we will go into another pretty simple technique, or maybe I should say into multiple simple techniques to time your magical workings, and that is the days of the week. So let's get into it. As I already spoiled a little bit, there is actually not one way to use the days of the week to time your spells and your other magical workings. There are multiple. But let me start out with the one that most people will probably think of when they think about the days of the week, and that is Planetary Magick, because actually every single day corresponds with one of the 7 planets that we work with in magic. So for example, the Sun and the Moon and Mars and Venus and all of these. And all of these planets bring an association with different kinds of magical workings. So Mars, for example, and using Mars-related times will be better to do specific kinds of magic, and the Moon will be good for other kinds of magic. So while every single day of the week corresponds with one of these planets, I will just call them planets, who cares? While every single day of the week corresponds with one of these planets, and these planets bring their own associations with different types of workings, you can use these specific days for these workings. So for example, Monday is the day of the Moon, and the Moon brings specific associations with different types of magical workings. So you should probably, or you can, do these specific types of workings on a Monday. And that can just boost the effect of your magical workings. I will quickly now go through the days of the week and the planets that they are associated with, and the types of magical workings that you can do on these days. Of course, this is not a complete guideline. Like I am not a Planetary Magick pro, so this is basically my own UPG. That is what I have worked with, so see this just as a rough guideline and not a complete guide. If you want a complete guide, probably get a book on Planetary Magick or watch other people's videos on Planetary Magick specifically. If I'm not mistaken, Ivy the Occultist has a video on Planetary Magick, so check other people's work out too. Don't just take what I say as fact, because that's my experience, that is my practice, my traditions, and it may vary with what other people associate with the planets. But let me get into it. So of course, let me start with Monday. As I already said, Monday is the day of the Moon, so Monday brings the kind of energy of the Moon with it. The Moon has a very gentle, very introverted type of energy, so it's associated usually with your emotions, with your inner world, with dreams, psychic abilities, divination. Should I say everything witchy like that? Maybe there's a reason why witches love the Moon. So of course, everything that surrounds these topics are great for Mondays. So for example, if you would want to cast a spell to remember your dreams better, or to maybe do some lucid dreaming, if you want to do also some astral traveling, or do some divination, maybe bless your divination tools, if you want to work on your psychic abilities or cast a spell to open them up, all of these things, also maybe even spells to regulate your emotions or to soothe anxiety, maybe, things like that, perfect on a Monday. Next up we have Tuesday, which is the day of the planet Mars. Mars is a very different type of energy than the Moon. While the Moon is very introverted and very calm, Mars is very, very active, very fiery. It's the type of energy that initiates things. So it's usually the planet that would make the first step and take action. So it's associated with things like bravery, war, courage. As I already said, taking action in things, taking things into your own hands. It's a very motivational planet, as I personally see it. It definitely drives your passions, its energy, vitality. It's a very strong planet. So you could definitely use it, for example, for more active kinds of protection spells. What I mean by that is not the type of protection spells where you would just shut yourself off and guard yourself. It's more of that type of protection spell where you would say, fuck with me and I will fuck with you, right? So things like tripwires maybe, or return to senders, anything where you take action as a reaction, if that makes sense. So that is something that I really like to work on Tuesdays and with the planet Mars. Another thing that I personally see that you could do on Tuesdays are baneful workings, anything where you would want to harm, because of course Mars is highly associated with war. So of course you could wage war on someone on a Tuesday with the help of the energy of the planet Mars. But of course, you can't only use this planet and this day to do harmful kinds of workings. You can also cast spells, for example, to get some motivation back. If you have been feeling a little bit lackluster lately, then you can bring some motivation back into your life and some passion. So definitely work on your passion projects on Tuesdays. And next up we have Wednesday. Wednesday is the day of Mercury, which I personally really love for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it balances the missing air in my chart, but who cares about that? Mercury on Wednesday. Mercury is a very interesting planet in my experience. It is very much associated with any type of movement and exchange. So with that comes, for example, communication, because communication is an exchange of words, an exchange of wisdom, maybe, of ideas. That is everything around that is associated with Mercury, but also I see it personally as being associated with business things, because of course business and working and stuff like that is always an exchange of work for money, for example, or goods for money. So everything like that. But I also associate it personally with learning and gaining wisdom, for example, with tech magic. I don't know if that's something that I only associate Mercury with, but I personally very much associate Mercury with technology and also with travel, because of course travel is like the type of movement that you can do. So everything around that. So what kinds of spells could you, for example, cast on a Mercury day on a Wednesday? Of course, any types of business magic. There is, for example, a reason why I started my money bowl on a Wednesday, because I really wanted to, I didn't want to get money from my main job. I wanted to mainly get it from my business. So that is why I started that on Wednesday. So any type of business related magic, if you maybe have your own business, then do workings on Wednesday. It's perfect. But also spells to absorb knowledge better, or travel kinds of spells. Maybe if you want a travel protection spell, maybe do that. Or if you want to manifest some kind of vacation or something like that. Communication, if you struggle with communication, maybe because you're anxious or your communication isn't as clear as you'd like it to be, then of course you can do that on Wednesdays. Then we have Thursday, which is Jupiter's day. Jupiter is an awesome planet. I love Jupiter because Jupiter is that type of energy that expands and that makes things grow. So basically anything related with that you can do on a Thursday. So one of the things that I personally do on Thursdays is money magic, because of course I want my money to expand and grow. I want more and more and more money. For example, I work my money bowl on Thursdays because of that. I also really like Jupiter for luck magic, because of course, again, you want to grow it. You want more luck. So doing that on a Thursday, perfect. But I think you could also argue that you can use Thursdays and Jupiter energy for basically anything that you want to grow or expand. So if you want to expand your wisdom, yes, you could do it on a Wednesday, but I would personally say that you could also do that on a Thursday. Next up, we have Friday and a guest. Friday is Venus Day. So Venus brings a lot of loving, gentle, nurturing kinds of energy. So with that also comes, of course, things like fertility magic, perfect for Fridays, but also glamour magic, because Venus is also a lot about beauty and aesthetics and self-love and things like that. So glamour magic is perfect for Fridays, but also love in general, any love and relationship spells. And it doesn't matter if it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or a family relationship, any kinds of relationship and love kinds of workings would probably work very well on a Friday. I personally also see healing magic and harmony magic on Fridays. So if you have been feeling a little bit ill lately, maybe cast a healing spell on yourself on Fridays, or maybe if you have been feeling a little bit unbalanced, I would say, then maybe you can work on that on Fridays. Next up we have Saturday, which, as you probably hear in the word, it's the day of Saturn. Saturn is kind of like the opposite of Jupiter. While Jupiter is very expanding and growing and emitting things to the outside, Saturn is more boundaries and restricting things and keeping things out. Saturn is usually seen as a little bit darker, while Jupiter is kind of like the lucky, everything is amazing planet. Saturn is seen as a little bit of a more darker type of planet, if that makes sense. So things that I would usually do on a Saturday, with the help of Saturn energy would be, for example, protection magic, because of course Saturn is a planet of setting boundaries and restricting things and keeping things out, boundary spells, anything like that, but also baneful workings, banishings, bindings, anything a little bit darker like that. And then lastly we have Sunday, which is of course the day of the sun. You hear it in the word Sunday, and Sunday is an awesome day. I love Sunday, maybe that's because I'm a Leo, but Sunday. So the energy of the sun, of course, it's brightening everything up. It's a very positive energy. It's all about basically the ego, the I, what you think that makes you you. It's basically about your identity, but also it's a very lucky planet. It's also associated with success magic. So you see, for example, if you have a business, you can basically do business magic all week round, always depending on what you want. So for example, if you want to attract success for your business, maybe do that on a Sunday. But also anything that has to do with your ego and your identity, also self-confidence and self-love. Basically, look at the zodiac sign Leo, and then you can see what you can do on a Sunday with the sun. Everything around that, self-love, self-confidence, your identity, your ego, success. It's a very extroverted kind of energy. I see it kind of as the opposite of the moon. While the moon is very introverted, the sun is very extroverted and very outgoing, and here I am. Okay, so these were the associations of the days of the week with the planets and how you can use these for your magical workings. But as I already said, this is not the only association that the days of the week have. Depending on your tradition and your culture, the days of the week can have various different associations with different kinds of things. And of course, then you can use these for your magical workings. So for example, as a Norse pagan, the days of the week are also associated with Norse deities. So for example, Monday would be Máni, Tuesday Tyr, Wednesday Odin, Thursday Thor, Friday would be Freya, Freyr and Frigg, Saturday is Loki, and Sunday is Sol. So of course you can do workings that would be associated with these deities on these specific days. Or you could also give offerings to these deities or work with these deities on these days. For example, if you look at Wednesday, that's associated with Odin, of course you could do things associated with gaining wisdom, poetry, magic, death, war, things like that, you could do on a Wednesday. Or you could do things like protection, strength, bravery, vitality, things like that on a Thursday because it's Thor's Day. Yeah, you probably see where I'm going with that. And as I already said, depending on your religion, your cultural background, your traditions, these associations with the days of the week will be a little bit different. and that's totally fine. So work with everything that would be associated with the days of the week in your tradition. Also, sometimes just one specific day of the week is seen as, in general, more magical and more powerful. So you would do basically any types of workings on this specific day because it's just seen as more powerful for magic. For example, in Scandinavian folk magic, that would be the Thursday because, well, two reasons. First of all, it's associated with Thor, and Thor was, of course, very, very important for like the normal country folk. So, of course, this association of Thursdays being a very powerful day, of course, that stayed kind of with the country folk and was embedded very deeply in Scandinavian folk magic. But also the things, or tings, however you want to pronounce them, they also were usually held on Thursdays. So, of course, that also made it a very powerful day. But for example, if you're a Christian, then maybe the Sunday would be the day that feels more powerful to you. So maybe just look at your own tradition and your religion and your cultural background and see whether there is one specific day that is seen as more powerful, and then work your magic on those days. And with that, that is everything that I wanted to say about the days of the week. Please tell me in the comments if you work with the days of the week for timing your magical workings, and if there's maybe one specific day that is more powerful to you than the others. I definitely find it extremely interesting to know about that because, for example, for the longest time I didn't know that in Scandinavian folk magic, Thursdays are seen as a very, very powerful day for magic. So, of course, I would love to learn about other types of cultures and traditions and see whether this concept maybe applies to other traditions too. So, tell me in the comments, let's talk about it. Before I close off this video though, a patron shout out. Thank you so much for supporting me, even though I'm actually not active on Patreon anymore. I don't think I said it in a video already. I don't think so. I'm not active on Patreon anymore. I had to kind of take a step back because I was hyper stressed and burned out. So thank you even more for still supporting me. Virginie, I think, Joseph, Offendra, Elinora, Noel, David, Kristani, Rixie Business, Julius, Valo, Mackenzie, Annalena, Madison, Bast, Yukai, Kirby, Liz, Lisa, Ashley, Erica, Sturfeed Stars, Christopher, Glacier, Fabienne, Anna, Laura, Kristen, John, Ivy, Phoenix, Anton, Jenny, Tyler, Els, Maggie, Betty, Misty, Tiffany, Amy, Colette, Tell, Timothy, Coffee, the Honorary Gossip Squirrel, Bjorn, and Ash. Thank you so much. Honestly, the fact that everyone still supports me, although I don't really post anything on Patreon anymore apart from early access, is crazy to me. So thank you so much. As always, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you did, make sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up and maybe ring the bell because I kind of feel like you don't see my videos anymore that often. So if you want to be notified whenever I post a new video, then ring the bell. Of course, you can also check out my other socials or my shop for ethically and sustainably sourced witchcraft and paganism tools called Sacred Sorcery. The link is in the video description. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!